In this video, we'll look at the installation process for the RM-3-HD. This mount includes 3 tubes, the double braced frame tube, a vertical tube, and a horizontal tube. To do this installation, you'll need your 3 tubes, the swivel joint, your indexing clamp, and the quick shift joint. You'll also need the red T-handle wrench and a 4mm Allen wrench for the rotation lock. Let's get started. To start this install, we'll begin with the double tube that will be placed into the frame clamp as the frame tube of your mount. This does have the rotation lock installed. If you need to loosen this so that you can rotate it and get it to the correct angle, use your 4mm Allen wrench into the bolts on the side to loosen those. Then locate the rotation lock pin in the holes on the outer edge of your frame clamp. Insert the rotation lock into one of those holes, put the center bolt into the center hole, and get it to the approximate angle. Now you can use your red T-handle wrench to start tightening this into place. And with your angle set, you can now tighten the rotation lock screws as well. Now your Allen wrench does have a hole in the side of it that can be placed over the 4mm wrench and used to get a better grip so that you can get those nice and tight. Next, we're going to install the swivel joint. The swivel joint is composed of a tube socket and then the outer swivel joint component. And the tube socket of this will slide onto the end of your frame tube. And it should rotate freely once it's installed on there. And you just want to make sure that the black handle is facing forward before you tighten it. So make sure you rotate that around. Get it so that it's nice and level, facing straight out, and that the silver pins are facing straight up and down. I'll use the center bolt to tighten this. And now we can add the vertical post. If you're not sure which post is your vertical post, check your selection sheet or check with your team to make sure you're using the correct one. I'm going to slide the vertical post down through the swivel joint with about 1 inch of tube coming down through the bottom. And then I'm going to close the black lever. Next, I'll locate the indexing clamp. Now this indexing clamp has 2 holes drilled in the bottom, as well as a longer slot that's used for the swing away function. When installing this, you want to make sure that those are face down. And I'm going to start by putting the longer slot onto the pin, the silver pin of the swivel joint. Now I'm installing on the right side of the chair, so before I tighten this, I want to rotate it fully counterclockwise before tightening. If you're installing on the left side of the chair, you'll rotate this fully clockwise before tightening. So with this rotated fully counterclockwise, I can now use my red T-handle wrench to tighten it in place. Now if I open the black lever, the tube won't slip through because this collar will hold it in place. And when we add the rest of the pieces, we'll see how the swing away joint works. I'll close that lever for now. Next, I'll get the quick shift joint. And when I install this, I usually install it with the black handle facing away from the operator of the chair. This way, any clinicians or support personnel who need to make adjustments can do it from that side of the chair. And also, if you have an individual who likes to play with the handles, it's facing away, it's harder for them to get to it. So I'll slide one of the tube sockets, the one that's furthest away from the handle. I'll put that onto the vertical post. Then I'll take my horizontal tube and place that in the other side, in the other tube socket. I can adjust the angle and then tighten this piece. Now my lever ended up at the bottom here, which is pretty nice. It looks nice and streamlined. But if yours doesn't end up where you want it, know that you can pull this lever out and rotate it freely without tightening or loosening the bolt. Then you can align it where you want and make sure it's not sticking out. Now the swing away joint, the way this will work, if you flip the black lever open, it allows the upper part of the mount to swing out. Now the individual can transfer out of their wheelchair. If you lift the tube and rotate, it will lock into position swung away. And if you rotate again, it will bring it more in line with the chair and lock in that position. Now if you have this swung away and you have the device hanging off here, and then you transfer, you might shift the weight a bit of the chair depending on the type of chair you're installing on. So be careful of that. You'll probably want to remove the device before doing that transfer. You can also just lift this whole piece right out of the swivel joint. Do that with the device removed. When you're ready to use the device again, back in the chair, place it into the swivel joint, into the swing away slot, and rotate it back into position. Then close your lever. You want to make sure that lever is facing forward so that it doesn't get knocked open. If this black lever gets caught on something as you're moving forward, it could open the lever and make the mount unstable. So you want to make sure it's facing forward when it's open and backwards when it closed. And that's the installation for your RM-3-HD.